Hey guys, so I thought I'd do a quick video here of just looking at the EDGE CTS3 as far as what you guys run for a gauge breakout on your EDGE CTS3 monitor as far as a daily driver diesel, not doing any crazy towing or high horsepower, but just the gauges you like to monitor on your CTS3 for a daily driver truck. So I figured I'd show you what I typically keep on there, have kept on here for years and years, and then would be interested in some feedback from you guys in the comments as far as if there's different temperatures you monitor or different things you like to see that maybe I don't have up here. And then obviously this is in addition to just your standard factory gauge cluster that has the OEM readouts. So we'll start up in the right hand corner as far as the boost PSI. Obviously that's a pretty standard readout that I'll have no matter what. Obviously I have a couple tunes on this truck with EFI Live, so I like to see where that's at, and that's just a self-explanatory readout, but that's what I'm always going to have on my readout. Right below it is battery voltage. Obviously there is a battery voltage readout on the OEM gauge cluster, but I have a lot of issues with that dial not really being super accurate, and it's tough to get a good specific reading, so I'll always keep that one on the digital screen here. Right below that I have the gear position. I like to monitor where that's at, especially when it gets into fifth gear and the transmission locks up. I like to see where, you know, what gear I'm in. That's helpful just across the board. Right below that we have engine oil pressure. Obviously that's another pretty standard one that I'm always going to have on here. Once again, it is on the OEM gauge cluster, but just having a much more accurate readout of what it actually is down to the specific digital number is really helpful, especially with cold starts and just seeing where you're at when you first get the truck fired up. Right in the middle, I keep my speed on there. I like to have a digital speed reading, not just the analog on the gauges, so that's kind of front and center just for a quick reference of how fast I'm going. The big one I keep is the EGTs. That one I do have the add-on sensor, and obviously that one's kind of the most important one. You can learn a lot about how your engine's running based on what that's reading, so that one's front and center to me. When I do tow, I do like to see where that's at, and it can provide a lot of helpful information just with how the engine's running. So that one I keep as the big front and center reading for me. To the left, right below it, we have fuel rail pressure. This one is handy. I've kind of gone back and forth with this one, but I do like to see what that's at. It's proven to be helpful with when I've had issues in the past with whether my truck is gelled up or having some low power issues. It can very quickly tell you know what's going on, and a lot of times too, if need be, I'll pull up the desired fuel oil pressure just to kind of see how those match up, and that can provide some good information. So that one I've come to use more than I thought, so that one makes my screen. Right above it is transmission fluid temperature. This one is another one that is going to be on your OEM gauge cluster as well, but just as I've said before, having a digital readout is really helpful and make sure you're getting accurate information. Right above that is engine coolant temperature. Obviously that's very self-explanatory of why you want to see that one. It's once again same as the others, important to have that digital exact readout, very helpful information. And then kind of an oddball one that I've gone back and forth on is the turbo vane position sensor. I just like to see what that's doing. Like I noted before, I run EFI Live on this truck. I have 5 tunes, and so the tune I'm on right now, it keeps those closed. That's why it's at 0, but it's always interesting to me just to kind of see what that's looking like as I go through power and as I flip through tunes. With these CTS3s, you obviously can have multiple screens. I don't really use the second screen. I haven't found enough data that I would keep on there. The only thing I do use on here right now is that's how I adjust my tunes. So I have the power level over there, and I've messed with maybe putting a load on there. I have intake air temperature, engine speed, but nothing on here I really utilize. I'd be curious if you guys have any input of maybe some different gauges or readouts that would be would be handy to have, but don't typically use the second screen. So this is kind of my go-to. I've had a diesel truck now for 10 years, and I find that this is really the readouts that I standardized on my, I've had a CTS2 before, and now a CTS3. This is kind of my go-to setup that I'm always looking at as I'm driving down the road. So let me know what you guys think. I'd be curious to get some feedback on different things, or maybe some additional accessories that you've added on beyond just the EGT gauge that have proven to be helpful. So thank you.